Well, it is certainly wonderful to see you again. How are you?
I'm doing great. And it's so great to see you again, Donna, after so many years. I think we met last time before COVID, but it's great to be here.
So, we are speaking a lot this week. It's New York City TV Week, and in particular, this is the 10th anniversary of this event. So, it's nice to see so many great sponsors. The Hispanic market is out in many, many numbers today. Did you enjoy the keynote or the first panel? Tell us about your thoughts on that.
So it's great to be back again. It's great to be back with friends and to highlight again the importance of the Hispanic market in our country. As somebody who immigrated, just to see how we keep growing and how we're getting the attention. Now, Gonzalo's session this morning was so great. He hit on a very specific point of, 20% Hispanic population, and are we getting the right investment, and are we getting the right support? And so it's always great to hear from him. And before I give you to the next question, Joe always does a great job in this, and we appreciate him, and we're so thankful for his support of Hispanic marketing.
What's one thing that you're looking forward to this coming year?
I'm looking to get back to a sense of normalcy after the last 2 years. That's on a personal note. And as far as the industry, we gotta continue growing, and not just growing in numbers, but also growing the commitment of the investment, growing the commitment of content, growing more on what we do well, and not just language, but also culturally. And so I'm looking forward to that for the rest of the year and for the years to come.
Now, speaking of culturally, is there like a favorite dish that you love that is like your go-to? You know what, this makes me feel like home. Do you have a home favorite recipe dish?
Of course I do. So Sunday morning in the Adriano household, you're always invited. You're always welcome. It's gotta go back to chilaquiles con pollo, right? And it's gotta be very spicy with a green sauce.
Take it from us. They're breaking for lunch now, and that's why we're both kind of hungry. Stay tuned. Oscar, you were also sharing with me part of your reason for being here today that's so near and dear to your heart.
Yeah, no, and I've expressed this to Joe on many occasions. We share a very dear friend, and that's no longer with us, unfortunately, Raphael Ellie, who is truly a pioneer in this industry, and not only was a former boss of mine, but more importantly, a very dear friend of mine, and I'm still saddened to that he's not with us, and his. Not only is it great that they're honoring him with an award, or an award in his name, I should say, but he really was such a big part of making this conference what it is today, and it's awesome and amazing, and at the same time sad because he's not here with us that they are honoring him. So.
He is kind of with you, though, because if you look right over your right shoulder, his poster is right there. So we're wishing you continued joy and success, and thank you for sharing that touching, heartfelt moment with us. You're welcome. Stay tuned for more. With us now is Veronica, and Veronica, you work at Nielsen, but Nielsen is now rebranded. What is the correct title now?
It's Nielsen Media, and I work specifically under our Grace Note division, which measures content, right? So Grace Note is really the power behind the distribution of content. And because of all of the metadata that Grace Note has, is how we're able to build the product that I manage called Inclusion Analytics.
Now, what made you decide to go into that as an industry?
I think I was very passionate about data. I wanted to be technical. A lot of my work in undergrad was around computer science education. I wasn't going to be a full-on engineer, but I thought data analytics was like the right intersection for me to be in. So that's really the skill that I wanted to pursue. And Nielsen as a company was very appealing to me because I remember one of their first DIS reports, the Latina 2.0 report, which elevated the Latina consumer as a decision maker in the household, and that really spoke to me.
2.0, it's probably 3.4 million now.
Yeah, now it is.
So we're here, you came all the way from Los Angeles to participate. Why was it important for you to be here today as a speaker?
I think it's important for me to meet my colleagues, right? I think theme that keeps being repeated throughout the conferences that if we're going to make strides in increasing representation in content and grow budgets for Hispanic advertising, then it's really a collaborative effort. So I'm here to share with my colleagues the tool and offering that we have, which is called Inclusion Analytics, to measure representation and content. Someone said that, one of the speakers mentioned that every time the census comes out, there's like an uptick in interest in Hispanic audiences and an uptick in dollars, and then it dies down, right? So that's why measurement plays a really important role to make sure that we're measuring representation not just at those spikes, but keeping companies accountable to sustaining their investment in representative content.
Have you noticed yet a project that you worked on that you were able to measure and then it did have a huge success based upon the data that you were able to secure for them?
Yeah, I think that increasingly, right, the product just launched about 1.5 years ago, so it's new. But because it's Nielsen doing it, we're able to tie that representation data to outcomes data. We just did a buyer lift study, and we saw positive results in when advertisers invest in inclusive versus non-inclusive content. We're going to see more of those studies done. We're also able to measure the level of spend in inclusive content with our Ad Intel product, right? So that's another big thing that I think we're offering. Nielsen is such an institutional company in the industry, so we think it's our responsibility to also drive forward the conversation of representation in content if we're going to see that institutional change.
Congratulations on your continued success and in finding a niche for a career that just suits you. It's nice when you can be able to take your passion, and then kind of put it all together and make something happen. Thank you for being here. Is there one new connection that you may have made or that you are hoping to make here that'll make a difference in your journey?
Yeah, I want to meet some of the advertiser partners here because a lot of what was mentioned is that there isn't enough content for them to invest in, and our tool highlights where there is content that is going to resonate with their audiences. So I'm hoping to connect with more advertiser partners.
Thank you so much. Stay tuned for more. We've been living it up right here. Congratulations. How are you today?
I'm great. I'm really excited to be here. I'm representing an agency that's been around for more than 35 years, pioneers in this industry, so it's pretty exciting.
And how did you find out that you were going to be a recipient this year?
Joe actually reached out to us, so we were really excited. It's nice when it's an award that you don't have to apply for.
Exactly, that you're honored for something you didn't submit for, right? That is a very nice honor. Some of your fellow recipients, had you known them in the industry, or is this the first time that you've met?
I did know a few of them, and Jose, who's here from Comcast, he's somebody I really look up to. He's one of the people driving brand work in this industry that I think is getting it right.
Congratulations, and thank you so much for being here. And have fun. The workshop's still going on today, right?
Yes, exactly.
There is more summits. Stay tuned. Well, congratulations. What does this award and this honor mean to you?
This award is very special for me because, like I said at the piece, I've been attending this conference for many years. In fact, I came to the first one 20 years ago, and being recognized by the industry that I have really worked very hard for, it means the world to me.
Has there been an opportunity or someone that you've met through one of these conferences that has helped you along your career? You know what I'm saying? I believe that there's so many people that this might be their first or their second year in their career. By coming to this, opportunities are opened.
I'm going to tell you, way back when, that's how I built my network of people that has helped me throughout my career. Daisy Exposito from the Exposito and Partners, she's one of my mentors, and she always believed, and she was my boss at the time, she always believed that the human connections that you do at these type of conferences are the ones that you're going to be able to carry through, regardless of the job where you are. And because at the end of the day, we're a community. We're a community and we're all intertwined. And if we want to really help our Latino community, we need to really help each other and be there for all of us. And I think that that's what we try to do at Comcast NBC Universal, really tell the stories of the Latinos and multicultural audience in mainstream.
Congratulations. I'm so happy for your success thus far. And I know that it's just like you're not done yet, right?
No.
We're not done yet. Stay tuned.
I'm young,
Yeah,
so
me too.
I have a lot to.
We're in our 20s. Hello, Sunny. How are you?
I am really, really well, really well.
What does getting this award mean to you personally?
It's such a tremendous honor because it's being presented to me by the Hispanic community. And as an Afro-Latina, I wasn't always sort of what an Latina would be looked at or accepted as. And so it's really such an honor. I can't even begin to tell you. And my parents were here with me today. So they are, yes, my parents are here and they were just
Hello.
beaming.
Hello, parents.
They were very excited.
So excited. What started you on your journey, on this successful journey in this field?
Yeah, you know, I always wanted to be a storyteller. I loved the novelas, the telenovelas, and I loved books. And I decided to be a lawyer first because I thought knowing your rights was really important. But then I realized there's but so much you can do there. And television gives you access to so many people. You can really, really change lives on a very large scale. And I was a journalism major in college, but I, again, didn't have representation on television. No one looked like me, so I just didn't think it was possible. And lo and behold, it is.
It's very possible. Continued success on your journey. Thank you so much, and have fun, because I know a lot of people here want to talk to you and celebrate you.
Thank you
Way to
so
go.
much.
It's a pleasure to meet you in
Nice to meet
person.
you.
Happy journeys to you.
Thank you.
Tell us about your journey. What started you out in this career?
Oh, well, that's a long story, but when it comes to sports, I came to Orlando because my husband had a job there, and he actually gave a demo at Telemundo and Univision. The people at Telemundo called me the same day and got me the job in news, hard news, and I accepted the job because, I wanted my foot on the door. And then whenever I was there, I was always talking about sports. And when it came to the opportunity to have a sports segment in the news, in the newscast, they said, "Why don't you give the opportunity to Anna?" And I was there, I was ready, and I did it. And after a year, the network called me, and it's been almost 10 years.
And it just gave me chills. I believe that's what happens. It's like you have to be prepared sometimes for those opportunities in life. And when the door opens, you just want to walk right through.
Oh yes, you know what? That's actually that's what happened to me all these years. When I started in Telemundo, I started with a 1-minute segment in the halftime shows of the Premier League games, and then they started giving me 10 more seconds, 30 more seconds, another minute, and I was like, oh my gosh, I made it 30 more seconds, and now I'm the host of the World Cup. So it's like, thank God I've been such a nerd. I'm ready.
Yeah, and I liked the way that you presented the material. You just kind of got right in there. You had a good rapport with the players and the coaches, the fans. I mean, they just kind of, you get it. Like you understood. You understand the game. And I think a lot of times for people that are hosts of things, they don't really know it, but you live it, right?
Thank you.
So it's your passion.
Well, it's part of me. It's part of my culture. Soccer for Hispanics, it's everything, and it's part of us. Since I can remember, I watch my brothers watching soccer, and it's such a passion. You cannot not get into it. Like you fall in love with the game.
Now, are your brothers proud of you? I'm sure that they are.
Oh, yes. They're like, oh my gosh, Anna interviewed this or that, or Anna is working next to Diego Forlan, like all these players. So yeah, they're extremely proud.
I love that. We have a huge World Cup poster in our studio, at Direct Media Studios. Yeah, we love soccer too. So continued success for all of your journey. And what are you most grateful for being here today at this summit?
It is, to me, it was daunting. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm a Latina speaking in English, and the fact that a lot of these people are so finally getting the importance, like how important it is that for our audiences, like it's a changing game, you know. It's like it's a new world. I'm trying to find the words to explain it because a lot of us grew up in our countries, you know. But like I have two kids. My two kids were born here in the U.S. and they are bilingual, and they're gonna watch TV in English and TV in Spanish. So the fact that all these people understand the importance of our community is just amazing.
A lot to celebrate. Give me your hand.
Thank you so much. Watch the
Wait,
World Cup.
Yes, watch the World Cup, okay? Anna will bring you there. She'll bring you right there. Stay tuned for more. We've been living it up. With us now is Court. So Court, how many years have you been coming to these types of events?
Believe it or not, I was here for the very first one 20 years ago. It's exciting to see that it's not only still here, but it's grown. And after the pandemic and having it 2 years online, it's wonderful to have the connection and the human interaction.
What made you decide to do this for your life, like for your industry? What was that moment of inspiration for you when you said, I'm going to grow up and I'm going to do something in this field?
I grew up in San Antonio, Texas, and so some of my earliest memories of television are of non-English Spanish language. So the Univision station in San Antonio is older than I am, and I'm 55 years old, so I think it's like 60-something years old. So as a little kid, this was before cable, you'd flip the channels manually, and I would see these stations, and they were in a language I didn't understand. I grew up in an all-Hispanic neighborhood. But it just made me wonder, why don't I understand? And I loved the energy and the excitement. And so that planted a seed. I studied broadcast journalism and Spanish literature as an undergraduate. And so when I got out of school, I ended up working in Spanish language radio. Then I ended up working for Telemundo, for Univision, for TV Azteca. And so I've spent 35 years working in the Hispanic marketplace, primarily in Hispanic media.
Now, not to put you on the spot, but are you bilingual now?
Completamente más o menos. Viví varias veces en México. Nací en una familia que I grew up in a family that doesn't speak Spanish, but I grew up in a Spanish-speaking barrio, really, and so I just spent years and years and lived in Mexico a number of times.
I thought it was so endearing and so important when even Sesame Street started having Spanish-speaking I guess, icons. You know, I grew up when Sesame Street started, so I'm a little older than you, but just by a wink. But 1965, you know, and then as I grew up with those characters, and then they started introducing other Spanish-speaking characters, you know, it's important. I mean, and that was an early part of diversity. And I grew up in St. Louis, Missouri, which was not a very diverse city to grow up in, then moved to New York. And I love it here because I love celebrating every person on the globe, right? Intergalactically too, you know, not to forget any of the beings that might be up there. But that's why I feel that these events are so important. These summits, celebrating one another, learning from one another, and helping things grow.
And you mentioned Sesame Street. The Spanish language version of Sesame Street, Plaza Sésamo, began in Mexico, I believe, was brought to the U.S. and aired on Univision for a long time. And so it's exciting to see that there is an acceptance of the Spanish language to a greater degree than we've seen in the past, but also an acceptance of the bicultural programming, that shows like Jane the Virgin can be in English with some Spanish, but more importantly can have representation of the Latino community.
Are you having a good time today?
Oh, I'm having a blast. It's the last two Hispanic TV summits have been virtual. And they have been great in a way because it's allowed us the opportunity to connect with folks that don't normally come to New York. For those of you who may not know, New York is extremely expensive right now. It's Fashion Week. Next week is the UN. And my understanding is that hotel rooms are going for kind of a minimum of $800. And so it's a very expensive time to come right now. Virtual was great, you didn't have to worry about that, but there's nothing like connecting, hugging, you know, shaking hands, seeing old friends again.
And I have to agree that also the craft services here are quite yummy. You know, they really do it well. So I thank you for joining us. And your podcast, how can we tune in?
Sure, you can. It's available on all major platforms. For Hispanic Heritage Month, we just finished up with an interview with Gloria Estefan. This is the second year in a row that she's doing the podcast. Last month, we did Kate del Castillo, who is one of the biggest Spanish language stars in the world. her show, La Reina del Sur, Queen of the South, is coming back on Telemundo in October. And so those are two of our most recent interviews. You can find us on Apple, Spotify, Google Podcasts, just about every place.
With us now is Carlos, and we're going to be talking about inclusion, diversity, and everything else that's Hispanic here at this great summit. How are you today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Good. So you're one of the panelists. You're going to be speaking to us a little bit later today. Is that correct?
I just did.
You know what, Carlos? I've been sitting here doing my job while you were doing your job. So tell us about that panel.
Yes, our panel focused on the importance of cultural authenticity in media content as well as in advertisers, from advertisers communications.
What are some of your favorite brands that you feel are doing it well? Who's getting it right these days?
Well, we actually are measuring over 160 brands and doing a ranking according to their cultural authenticity across their ads. So we don't have all the points, but all the ranks, but I can say that Kellogg's is doing an incredible job, as well as CarMax, Rocket Mortgage. We call those cultural disruptors. And they're getting it right very, very, very in a sustained way. So it really points out that they have a process, and processes can be replicated, obviously. So everyone can do it. We just need the intention and the process to be able to do it.
Now, is AIM using focus groups, or how are you going about it? Your division of ANA, correct?
Yeah. We are measuring ads under what I also mentioned, the Cultural Inclusion Accelerator. And within the Cultural Inclusion Accelerator, we have various measures that we've introduced to the marketplace to guide decisions where measurements were not available. One of them focuses on the cultural authenticity of programming and ads, and it's called SIM, the Cultural Insights Impact Measure. And that's what we share today because it is a really vast measure. It has almost, it already surpassed 1 million evaluations, and it proves that when marketers have cultural authenticity, the purchase intent increases threefold, and culture explains 78% for Hispanics of the campaign's success. So it's not just a little bit of a difference, it makes a huge difference when you connect emotionally with consumers by using cultural authenticity.
I believe that. I believe that brands, in order for a brand to resonate with us, they have to know us. They have to know us. They have to be speaking directly to us because they need us to have that trust before we make a purchase. It's not like, oh yeah, this person's doing that person's doing that, so I'm going to try that brand either. You want to know that the brand knows you, that the brand actually maybe even created something specifically for you, right?
Absolutely, and if that can be embodied in a way that it reflects your cultural values, what you expect of us as positive role models, it's you get a feeling that brand is proud of your culture, your individuality, and many a times your intersectionality. As Latinos, we are everything. So we're not a homogeneous marketplace, right? So when brands do it in a way that is creative and really it opens the heart to those emotions that are wired from our culture, then it really shines. And then the brand really has a greater influence on being selected not only the first time, but repeat purchase and the loyalty that we all seek.
often I've been asked how I identify, and I identify as a Midwesterner now living in Long Island for the last for all my adult life, right? So like when it comes to things like ice cream, toasted ravioli, the Cardinal baseball team, or something like that, right? My DNA, when I did my 23andMe, I'm an American because of the fact that there are like 23 varieties of people from all over the globe that are kind of in my DNA, right? So I agree with you when you said, okay, Hispanics, it encompasses everything and everybody. But there are these beautiful little nuances, if you will, that also kind of, I don't know, paint us in a beautiful way, right? So we're talking about that. We're talking about not just stereotypes. We're talking about true getting to know a person's soul, what makes them tick, what makes them glow, and what makes them want to dance, right? Are you a dancer? I'm definitely a dancer. So
Absolutely, absolutely. I think that we can talk and we can get messages across, but when we use that cultural wink, the rhythm, the way we would say something in a particular way across 20 different Spanish-speaking countries, you can still wink all of them using key cultural insights. And that's what is really important to say, hey, you really get me. You really want to talk to me? I trust you. Tell me about it.
we were talking, and I think one of the things that connect is food. And I asked one of my early people today on the show, like, is there a dish, something that when you think of the holidays, you personally make you feel like you're home? And if so, what is that? What do you just like that you just have to have?
Well, I would say a good empanadilla. Obviously, Argentinians created it, but it's like we all borrowed it. And dessert, tres leches. It's like, who can say no, right? It's like, forget it. Of course, I'll have some.
And I'll have some too. And I think dessert's going to be served very soon. Thanks for watching and hanging it out right here. With us now is Oscar. Welcome. How are you today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Now, have you been to other events that Joe Schramm has ran?
Oh yeah, no, I've been a dear friend of Joe for many years, and this particular conference quite a few times. And so no, I'm happy to be here, and you know, this is you know, something that's very necessary, and it's great that it's back in person.
One of the things that we were talking about before the camera started rolling is ESPN's fervent mission to, I gotta say that word better, hold on. One of the things that we were discussing before the cameras were rolling is that ESPN is on a mission in order to have global expansion of not just Spanish-speaking properties, but also English-speaking properties in the sports market.
Yeah, so our mission statement at ESPN is to serve sports fans wherever and whenever. And, you know, that's one thing that is really dear to our heart, in really creating the content that our fans want and delivering it in the way that they want to receive it and consume it. And that includes both Spanish-speaking Hispanics and then English language Hispanics, which is kind of what I focus on, right?
Oscar, you were also sharing with me part of your reason for being here today that's so near and dear to your heart.
Yeah, no, and I've expressed, you know, this to Joe on many occasions. We share a very dear friend, and you know, that's no longer with us, unfortunately, Rafael Eli, who is truly a pioneer in this industry, and not only was, you know, a former boss of mine, but, you know, more importantly, a very dear friend of mine, and I'm still saddened to that he's not with us. And his, not only is it great that they're honoring him with an award, or an award in his name, I should say, but he really was such a big part of making this conference what it is today. And it's awesome and amazing, and at the same time sad, because he's not here with us, that they are honoring him. So
He is kind of with you, though, because if you look right over your right shoulder, his poster is right there. So when it comes to ESPN, I mean, I remember when it started. You probably don't, because you're much younger than I am. But it's exciting to see how that brand itself has grown. It's global. It's gigantic.
yeah, no, we actually just turned 43 earlier last week, actually. And I think what makes us, the company that we are is that we have been true to our mission, from the get-go, which was really basic but very powerful, right? And that is that, we our mission is basically to serve sports fans whenever and wherever. So whatever content they want to receive and consume, and wherever they want to consume it. And in my particular case, my group focuses on Spanish language content, but my group also assists in trying to reach Hispanics on the English side. So very important piece of the community for us to reach and to continue to serve.
What do you love best about your job? From the moment that you got there, like, what do you just love? Because it's a good gig.
I love the energy in our company. There's just this tremendous amounts of energy. There's always, saying that our company works at 100 miles a minute, and it really definitely does. And I think, look, sports evokes passion, right? At the end of the day, that's what we sell is passion. And, being able to be a sports fan myself, and through our content to be able to bring that passion back to our fans, that to me is the most fulfilling and the most rewarding piece of my job, to be honest with you.
And there's actually fans in the stands again, right? Fans in the stands. Did you play a sport growing up?
I tried.
What did you play?
I actually tried everything. But as they say, I have 2 left feet, so I was not good at sports.
Then Oscar went into television about sports.
Well, I actually started on the radio side, to be honest, so even worse, but no, in the sense that I wasn't even okay. No, all kidding aside, like my, my dream as a kid was actually to be on the air. Quickly realized I didn't have the talent to either be an athlete or to be on the air, and so I moved into management and sales, and I'm very fortunate and happy to have built a career around that. But yes, I've been in media my whole life.
And we're having fun here today, just celebrating one another, lifting everybody's spirits, connecting, and making a true difference. Are you looking forward to anything this coming year, in your own travels or for you personally that you're looking forward to?
Look, I'm looking forward to continuing on our mission to be able to serve our sports fans. It's an ever challenging mission because, how they consume, what they want to consume, and really making change, which is sometimes, difficult in terms of like diversity. I'm very proud to say that, we are taking enormous strides when it comes to diversity. We will have for the first time, a female doing play-by-play for us on Monday Night Football. And there are things like that to me are the most rewarding piece of my job, to be able to make change, to be able to really put forth the company's commitment to diversity, and to, again, back to that core mission of just serving our sports fans.
I love that. I got chills. Stay tuned for more. We've been living it up right here with Oscar. Stay tuned. So how are you, Isabel, and how have you been?
I'm doing fantastic. Very excited to be here at the New York TV Summit. It's been a while to be in person, so it's just nice to catch up with friends, and it's a good day.
And a lot of friends. People are hugging each other and like speaking many different languages here. And I guess that's what it's all about. It's super fun. When you started Candela Media, what was your thought behind that?
I started Canela when I continued to read about the streaming wars. And there was all these services coming for streaming wars, and I realized, hold on a second, where are the Latino audiences here? There has been 2 big networks dominated the TV industry for a while, but when it comes to streaming, there's nothing out there. So my goal was to bring to the market the first streaming service for Latinos, a free streaming service, ABOT. So it was very early on. I saw the opportunity, the need, the numbers are there. It was a no-brainer if you ask me.
And how has that grown? You have employees now. I mean, it's grown. I got just chills right now. It's grown tremendously. How exciting must that be for you? Tell us where your company is now.
It's grown really, really fast. We are VC backed. We closed our Series A in February, which is the largest investment ever to a Latino, which is very, very exciting to see. We're in Mexico, Colombia, US, offices all across US. We've grown over 40 employees in the last 2 months, so we are now around 110, adding another 50 positions in the next 3 months. So things have been very exciting, fast-paced. Our audience continues to double. So we're in a good place, I think.
And what's some of the content that somebody can expect on Candela?
So that's the most exciting. We're gonna be releasing the press release next week of all the lineup we have of originals. We produced for this quarter over 570 hours of original programming. So it's one of the most aggressive lineups for an AVOD platform, which historically were AVODs competing large libraries, which we have one, but we felt for the Latino space, we needed to do original programming. And when we mean original programming, this is the biggest talents in the industry. We're leading with Kate del Castillo. We're doing shows with the biggest novela artists in the industry coming together in a reunion, kids programming. So there's so much for everyone, and it's really supporting the U.S. Latino community here. What do they want to see? So it's going to be an exciting quarter for Canela and much more to come.
With this TV summit, have you made some new contacts yourself, and what has your experience been so far? I know it's just early in the morning, but you were one of the keynote speakers, which was exciting to see. But for you personally, why are you here? What is your best interest here?
I think it's continued to push the industry for representation in the screen to have elevate the Hispanic TV industry in general. So the presence, we have to support what we believe. So part of that becomes being present at these events, speak what our experiences so others are familiar with it, and then just connect with always new people. There's always people to meet, so I love meeting people, and yeah, I have met some interesting connections.
Are you living a life that is far beyond what you thought you'd live like when you were 7 or 8 years old? Like for you personally, it's about like, what is that moment for you?
That's a good question. I never wanted to be an entrepreneur or a businesswoman. I wanted to be a mom. My dream was to be a mom. I'm still a mom. I'm a mom of 4, but I didn't know how you could combine that together. So I'm living a life that I never expected. I love building businesses. This is my 3rd business I build in the ad tech space. And I enjoy the adrenaline, the change, the opportunities. So this is my dream life. It's exhausting, I'm not gonna lie. It's stressful. Running a company is very stressful. People see you at the top, realize all the sacrifices that you have to do to get there. So it's been a lot of sacrifices, a lot of stress, but I enjoy it, which is the most important thing. I believe I'm in the right place. I think we need to have more Latinas that are outspoken, that care for important things of our industry, to change the industry and support other Latinos to excel. So, yes.
And you're right, you can have it all. You know, you might have to say to your kids once in a while, "Hey, quiet on the set," or something like that. But somehow, right, but you can have it all. I know that you're a great role model. I know your children love you. I know your fans love you. All your employees love you. And I'm so thankful that you got a chance to come over when I asked you that, you know, you sat down with me just to celebrate you, because I want to shine a light on you, because you're such a bright light in the community of television overall and in content. So continued success to you. And you're giving people opportunity, you know, you're just like making that happen. So I hope you feel that in your heart and know that as exhausting as it is, you're doing good. You're doing well for others. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Okay, stay tuned for more. Check out Candela Media. I mean, we're here, right here with the founder. We love it here. Stay tuned. We celebrate you as well. Thanks for watching. Now, we live in the same town, so I just want to give you kudos, because what's the new honor that you got?
Oh, I am now appointed as the director of the Office of Film and Television for the town of Huntington, a brand new position.
And boy, have we needed that. I moved here in 1994. I got so excited, just on a personal level for you, but also for me, being a resident there. I mean, we've really needed that. We do a lot of work in that area. There's a lot of growth that can happen, and so I thank you. I'm excited that you're in charge. You're also in charge of this. What are we doing here today?
What are we doing here today? This is the 20th annual Hispanic Television Summit. I founded this summit on behalf of my clients 20 years ago. My clients are Multi-Channel News and Broadcasting and Cable, 2 of the biggest magazines in the television industry. And so I co-founded it. My business partner at the time, Raphael Eli, was also part of it. Unfortunately, Raphael passed away from COVID in 2020. So today we're doing a lot of things in his honor.
You know, and so many of the people had mentioned that too. You know, Oscar came up and he said, wow, you know, it just means so much to see his name in print, to see the awards, to see the people that you're celebrating. There's a lot of business that's also happening here. So when people come here, it's the connections, but it's also the growth.
Right. Well, definitely. I mean, deals get done here, which is amazing. The culture is very social, and so we create a conference that not only has information and sessions that are important, but has a lot of networking opportunities because a lot of business gets done. And we planned it a number of years ago to always have food and beverages available and places for people to sit down so people stay on campus and deals get done. And I have to tell you, I'm always amazed when I find out if I have a celebrity speaking at the conference and 8 months later I see them in a TV commercial on behalf of one of the people who was at the conference. So it's a good deal, and people get jobs this way too. It's a great place. And this morning we had a conversation with Gio Benitez from ABC News, and he was talking about the need to encourage more Latinos to apply for jobs in the film and television industry.
And both English-speaking Latinos as well as the people that are Latino. That was it. And I learned that today too, which I thought was interesting. Because there's several people that they still want that cultural content. They still want that touch base of home.
Oh, sure. Well, there's 3 parts of the culture is language, whether you speak Spanish or not, whether you brought up speaking English and your abuela speaks Spanish, you know, that's all something that's part of the culture. Food is part of the culture. So today we're having an amazing lunch. There's a completely Latin food. And if you're a red bean person, you're good for you. If you're a black bean person, I'm sorry, we don't have any frijoles negros. But anyway, but that's, so language and then food and music. And so in between everything, we have great music. And later we have mariachis who are going to be performing at our closing ceremony.
Lovely. Now, Joe, do you dance?
Do I dance? Of course I dance.
So show me a couple of your
You have
moves.
to play the music.
Oh, okay.
You know, we had some J Balvin, we had Pitbull, you know, Daddy Yankee, except if you're from the Bronx, you have to say Daddy Yankee. Yeah, you have to have it, say it right. So.
Well, thank you as always. Thank you for being my friend in this industry. I really, truly enjoy you. And to everyone, thank you so much for tuning in this week, but tune in every week. We love bringing you these stories, a behind-the-scenes look at what matters the most. Thanks for watching.